Ladies and gents, boys and girls, welcome to the Other View Company where we look at political developments of the day, the times, the future, the present, what time it is. So my name is Kanan Magarimaga. So today we are looking at a video of South Africa as a nation. We try to analyze whether or not it's a fallen state. This is a video from the SABC and it is by no means taken as absolute truth. Of course, people can always argue certain points that I want to argue regarding the content that we play here. Uh, but at the end of the day, it is all about conscientizing people, especially with the upcoming 2024 elections, that it is critical to vote. And the main goal is to try to get people to understand what it means to have a political voice through a vote and utilizing it to effect the change that they want to see. So let's step right into the video without wasting any more time.
We must fight corruption. We must fight fraud and collusion.
In his first State of the Nation address in 2018, following former President Jacob Zuma's exit, President Cyril Ramaphosa presented a promising future of the Rainbow Nation, which would be free of the shackles of corruption. He used a song by the late jazz artist Hugh Masekela, Tumamina, as his theme, a theme that has since become his nickname to some in the country. This promise of a change in South Africa, however, seems to be short-lived. Since 2018, the government, led by Ramaphosa, has been embroiled in massive scandals that have changed the face of corruption in the country. The COVID-19 pandemic, for example, saw corruption that adversely affected the lives of South Africans.
So this lady is actually speaking about a lot of things at once. However, I'm going to try to break them down for you. So in the beginning, when Ramaphosa came in, what did he start talking about? What is the first thing he started talking about? Getting rid of corruption and ensuring that those who are corrupt are held responsible. Now, none of those things happened. And also, additionally to that, Ramaphosa finds himself involved in a scandal that might determine his political career forever. The Palapala farm, the money behind and underneath the mattress. Because obviously the money is too big. You cannot just fit under the mattress. So it must be put behind. How, I don't know. Crazy. It's crazy. This is the man who's president, who's supposed to preside over the affairs of the country. Came in and promised us no more corruption. Where are we as a country now? Where are we?
A common consequence of
Bro, look at all these things. Look at this. This is the reality for most South African townships. Like the people that you see here, probably the last time one of them had a job, bro. It's sad, man. It's sad. At the very same time, while all of this is happening, bro, no accountability taken politically, the quality of the lives of the people is dilapidating. There's a stage 4 rolling blackouts. So it means businesses are not able to make money as much as they should. They're not able to retain employees as a consequence of that. When we have this stage 4, we have people who have chronic illnesses, and some of them depend on machines there at the hospitals. But we have stage 4. So, judge for yourself, dear voter. Judge for yourself.
Of endemic corruption.
We live in one of the most unequal societies in the world, but we live within the context of a constitutional democracy that promises us the progressive realization of socioeconomic rights. These are rights relating to the right to water and sanitation, the right to education, the right to health care.
Look at this, bro. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. 28 years after democracy, bro. 28 years after democracy. I feel like if South Africans could see the outside world They could see countries like Singapore, Saudi Arabia. They could get inspired to know that government can effect change. And I always hated when you mention that most of the problems that we have in the country are because of the government, or because of the ANC. We have governance issues in this country. When you point that out to certain people, they tend to say to you, no, you're depending on government. Why don't you start your own business? Man, in order for you to start your own business that is going to be profitable, you need an environment through which that business is going to prosper. So that means you need less red tape in terms of starting a business. It should be easier for you to start a business and to be compliant with SARS. All the information should be made available to you, and it should be an easy process for you. Currently, it is not. And also, huge taxes have to be eradicated by government. Government currently, as it stands, charge a lot of money through taxes. Now, if you are a young person who wants to start a business, it means you may not be successful because the little you make gets to go to taxes. You are taxed a lot. So, again, it's your choice, dear voter.
When we see the type of pervasive endemic corruption in the country, it's really at the coalface of service delivery where we see corruption impacting upon the lives of ordinary people.
Despite a slight improvement, unemployment continued to add to the country's woes. South Africa's unemployment rate was at 33.9% in the second quarter of 2022, down from 34.5% in the first quarter, and a record high of 35.3% in the fourth quarter of 2021. To this day, many citizens still sit at home without any prospect of employment.
It is very difficult to not be working. People end up turning to crime, and people love crime. Life without
The dignity of this man is destroyed by government. And the same government is going to come back and drill into young girls' minds that it is the man's fault, that the situation is the way it is, that these guys are the ones who are perpetuating gender-based violence. They are rapists, they're toxic and whatever and whatever. The people who are supposed to be the bedrocks of this country are supposed to be building this country through having jobs, through having dignity, through building families that have dignity, families they can provide for. That is not able to happen in this country. It's sad, man. It's sad.
money, you will not survive. I tried to get work, but I saw there are no jobs. I'm a builder, but I cannot get a job. They gave it to foreign nationals because their labor is cheap.
Porous. My brothers, South African brothers who are here legally, who were born here, some of them, cannot find jobs. But illegal immigrants find them. In fact, people like Julius Malema say we should have an open border policy as an African continent. Everybody should just do as they please. But it is me and you, the ordinary people, who suffer the consequences of this. Julius Malema probably lives in a gated community somewhere in Joburg, in Cape Town. These are the people who don't have the jobs. They don't have protection from government through the SAPS and SANDF. SANDF. Yeah, that's what I said. No protection whatsoever. It's sad, bro.
What about you?
Crime remains high, with gender-based violence and femicide very much prevalent. The cost of living continues to rise.
That's what they're gonna tell us, the media as well. That's why I don't like these guys. They're gonna tell you that there's femicide, women are being killed purely because they are women and they be killed in huge proportions by men. Man, while we have governance issues and service delivery issues in this country where ordinary people cannot get basic services that they need, the media is gonna implant fear in young women's lives that their lives do not matter and they can be killed by men anytime in the world. And we know that there's some cases of those things happening. However, bro, are you telling me that when a woman is attacked out there, they're attacked purely because they're a woman? And while having the stats that show that also black males experience more crime than everybody else in this country. So are they being killed because they are men? That's crazy, man. But I'm just putting it out there. Just putting it out there.
As the country also has one of the most unequal school systems in the world, hampered by challenges like crumbling infrastructure, overcrowded classrooms, and relatively poor educational outcomes. Poverty, inequality, and unemployment are increasing.
I think it is important that we understand that the current climate in the country, high levels of dissatisfaction, problems within the economic and political domain, the uncertainties and anxieties and the tensions that exist, creates an absolute ideal situation for exploitation by so-called subversive elements.
The rolling blackouts have thrust the country into the spotlight
Look how
again.
dark it is.
For the second time, Ramaphosa had to cut short his international trip.
When it's dark like this and white people are dining, having wines and whatever, majority of us, we are dying in the hood, bro. People can't feed themselves, they can't cook. They don't have alternative meals outside of those that have to be cooked. I need you to think about this, and this is majority of the country, bro. You understand? Bad.
To attend to the energy crisis in the country. This is despite previously stating that it was a thing of the past.
The CEO of Eskom, Andre de Ruyter, has said load shedding can be solved. And if we all work together, and I agree with him, we all have to work together to address the problem of load shedding.
But he's speaking in bubbles. Like what he's saying is not we have to work together. How, bro? How are we going to do that? Politicians always do this all the time. How are we going to work together, bro? Explain to me exactly at what point do we start working together? Because when Eskom was ruined to the point that it is ruined today, we were not working together, South Africans showing the money and protecting each other's interests over there. It was clearly the politicians and their big corporate friends. Now we have all these problems. They say, let's work together. Explain to me how. They are alone chowing the money. Now, when it is starting to be so bad that the corruption is exposed, now we have to work together. Explain to me how. Bro, these people, Father Ons, Sosa, pushing P. You know what time it is, man.
And they are doing as much as they possibly can.
With the list of problems continuing to mount, solutions have been hard to come by.
There is no national plan to address these challenges of poverty, unemployment, inequality. It doesn't exist. One of my fears, comrades, is that one of these days, we're talking about this with Comrade Mohammed, we're going to have our own version of the Arab Spring.
Elections are just under 2 years away, and
So what happened with the Arab Spring is that the youth stood up against government there in the Middle East. I forgot the actual country. You guys are smart, you remind me. So the youth stood up against government corruption, skyrocketing rate of unemployment, lack of good governance, service delivery, poor, bad. So they stood up, they were like, we're tired of this, and use social media to overthrow the government. So what Thabo Mbeki is speaking about there is the youth of South Africa is going to get tired to a point that they will, at a certain point, overthrow the government. Now, that is provided that majority of them do not exercise their right to vote in 2024, as it was the case in 2021. We know that we had less than 3% of the electorate showing up to actually go vote. So it's a tough one, bro. It's a tough one.
And the pressure is mounting on the Ramaphosa-led ANC. As things stand, will the ANC still emerge victorious, or will attempts by the opposition to oust it succeed? Only time will tell. Kani Mapanga, SABC News, Johannesburg.
That's it. That's it.
Cosatu was set to
No.
hold the 14th
No.
national.
No. So that's it. That's the Republic of South Africa in a nutshell, bro. Our beautiful rainbow nation has been run to the ground by the ANC elite, who think they deserve this country more than everybody deserves it. So it's a huge problem, but we are here. Hopefully, we inspire many people to actually go out there and vote, and to stop asking this question of who are you going to vote for. Ask yourself, what am I going to vote for? What kind of values do you stand for? And if those translated into policy, what do you want to see happening in the country? Do you want to see high taxes as we already have, where people cannot afford housing, people don't have jobs, people cannot afford good quality health care, where there's porous borders, where there's always load shedding, where there's mismanagement of funds, where there's corruption and state capture, or all these kinds of things, bro? What do you want to vote for? Do you want to vote for good governance? Pick a political party. Unfortunately, you cannot vote for individuals. We live in a constitutional democracy that has gave birth to an electoral process where we have to vote indirectly for our leaders. So that means we have to appoint parties who in turn will vote for the kind of leaders that we need. So you tell me, bro. Otherwise, your boys out of here. One time.